Before I get into this video, what I do want to say is I have been a big Logic fan, and I still am. So this isn't coming as a hater, this is coming as a fan who just wants him to get better and better. So let's talk about Logic and his new album, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I'm not going to give my full opinion on this album in this video, because what I want to talk to you about is mental health in terms of Logic and this record. We all know Logic is the quote-unquote suicide guy, the guy whose song 1-800 blew up, and that record was about mental health, and you guessed it, suicide. He's also talked a lot about anxiety, so I think that's really important, so I'm not dissing the guy. But why do I even mention all this? It's because in this latest album, he has a couple of throwaway lines that, to be honest, just made me cringe in terms of mental health. And I think when you've built yourself up to be a mental health advocate, you've got to be careful with what you say. And when you mess up, it should be pointed out. So let's get straight to that. The first lyric I noticed is from the song Wannabe, and here it is.
I don't get likes like they get likes, so I'm gonna slip my fucking wrist.
So the lyric is, I don't get their likes, so I'm gonna slip my fucking wrist. Which is actually pretty tame, so maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky here. But I feel like it just downplayed self-harm and made it seem like the reason for self-harming are really trivial, when really it's usually deeply rooted in one mental health disorder or another. The next lyric is from the song Pardon My Ego, and this is where we get a bit more problematic. This is probably the lyric that I have the biggest problem with, and here it is.
I ain't bipolar, Kanye make me wish I was, cause that level of genius the meanest.
I ain't bipolar, Kanye make me wish I was, cause that level of genius is the meanest. Really, Logic. You wish you were bipolar. You wish you had to deal with a harrowing mental illness day in, day out because one of your idols has it. I can't tell you how much this reduces and belittles the suffering that people with bipolar disorder have to go through. I'm sure most of them wish they didn't have the disorder and don't have the luxury of not understanding it on the level that Logic does here. Not to mention that it reduces Kanye West's genius to be down to his disorder and not the real substance that makes him who he is. And we're on to the final one.
1-800 made my bank account look like a phone number.
1-800 make my bank account look like a phone number. So we're definitely getting a lot more subtle here. But here he's bragging about how much money he got from his single 1-800. To me, this is just in poor taste. For a song that he claims to have written to try and save people's lives, it just seems wrong to turn it into a look how much money I've got moment. You've said it yourself, Logic. You've never been suicidal. So maybe you don't realise how important the small things that get you out of such a bad place are to people. But trust me, they are important. And now to me, it just feels tainted. In my opinion, it's just not cool to brag about profiting off of suicide. Finally, like I said, these are small grievances I had with the album. And I'm sure Logic didn't mean any harm by it. But when you've built yourself up as a mental health advocate, you can expect to receive some criticism when you mess up. When it comes to mental health, the more open the dialogue, the better, which is the sole reason I'm making this video. Lots of love to Logic. This isn't hate, this is constructive criticism, and while I wasn't a big fan of the album Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, I'm excited for his future projects.